thing we've learned about business and life is that people are the X factor. They constantly surprise us, both in amazing ways and not so much. We're Ben and Syya, and welcome to the Gnaw on This Business Bites podcast. This show is all about real life things we all deal with every day, how they relate to business, and how to make some sense out of our daily chaos. Welcome to the show. And welcome back to another episode of Gnaw on This Business Bites. I'm Ben. This is Syya, the shoulder shifting queen. And today we're going to talk about. That's right. Get comfortable. Get comfortable, because we're going to talk about being comfortable, being uncomfortable. The world is an uncomfortable place. There's uncomfortable conversations. There's comfortable situations. There's change. There's unknowns in the world. There's a million things going on a daily basis that you, me, and Mr. McGee have absolutely no control over. We don't. We have absolutely no control over 99.9% of what goes on in the world on a regular basis. Now, if we can bring that down to a microcosm, that number will probably go down to about 80-20. But when we're dealing with the world in general, 99.9% of what goes on in the world is completely and absolutely out of our control. We can't control climate change. We can't control smog. We can't control monetary policy. 99.9% of what goes on in the world, war, famine, terrorism, any of that kind of stuff, we can't control it. All we can control is how we react. We can control what goes on between our ears. We can control what we say, what we think, what we do, how we react. And I think that that's what we need to be comfortable in. Comfortable knowing that the world is going to do what the world is going to do. And we can get angry about it. We can get frustrated about it. But the question is that going to make the world better? Or do we sit there and say, okay, what can I do within my little microcosm of the world to make sure that the people that I know, like, and trust or love are better off in the long run? And I think that that's what we need to start thinking about. So, Syya, let's gnaw on this.
I love it when you do these opening, set it up, because I usually have about 5 songs that pop in, and then I'm like, oh, no longer appropriate. Next song. Look, it's, the word comfort, right? It evokes a lot of different emotions for some. Sometimes it's a virtual hug, whatever it might be. But sometimes there's a reason why we love our roller coasters. There's a reason why we like those thrill rides, right? Play escape game rooms or whatever, because there's a thrill of an excitement of something that has excitement, but to some degree, a twinge of fear into it to some degree, right? And it's that little bit of fight or flight kind of vibe is where I think sometimes some folks, you really get to know who you are, is if you're a fighter or if you're a flighter, right? And there's nothing wrong one or the other, right? Because look, if you're going to stand up in front of someone that's got a big old machete in front of you, and they're swinging it wildly, and you have zero self-defense background, you may not be the brightest tool, but you're at least going to try, right?
Hopefully you're going to run at that point in time.
Running. What's up?
Hopefully you're going to be running at that point in time.
One would like to think, but you never know. I mean, because there could also be where maybe they're swinging erratically, and then you're just good at timing and just got lucky, or you're a big person. I don't know. But what we're trying to say, and I get what you're saying, is there is so much for me, maybe because it's my brain. I just think about so much going on, and I'm always constantly curious about things, largely because my brain already jumped to another thought. But there is something about having that state of excitement that you just don't know what's around that corner that might excite you a little bit, that I think makes life more fun. I think it makes life a little bit more less you in control of it, but like you say, in reaction to it, that gives you change it up. I mean, dude, could you imagine just eating, you know, as much as I love, you know, ice cream. Let's say this. As much as I love ice cream, if I had ice cream every single day, one flavor, and I actually like vanilla, I would be really tired of that's my only meal forever for the rest of my life. Sometimes too much is too much. So I like the excitement of a little bit different. And that's why I think there's an allure of being uncomfortable in that comfort zone.
Yeah, it's funny. You just total tangent, but I remember a friend of mine got a job in a chocolate factory, and
Was his
they
name Willy Wonka or
no,
Charlie
his name was
Bucket?
not Willy Wonka. His name was not Charlie Bucket,
Oh,
but he was allowed to eat as much chocolate as he wanted, and he could bring chocolate home. And as he said, for the first 6 months, you went to town. After 6 months, it lost its interest. Like everybody you knew had enough chocolate. Like, God, you brought me. No, please don't bring me any more chocolate. You're sitting there going, okay, if I eat any more chocolate, I'm going to be 450 pounds.
yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and I think the chocolate factory knows that. They know that all of a sudden something's new and exciting and we're going to splurge and we're going to indulge and binge or do whatever we want. But after a while, we get complacent.
Yeah.
And we just sit there, go, oh God, no more chocolate, please. I'm not sure I'd ever get there, but that's a different story altogether. But we need, and I'm trying to remember where I was going with this, but when we sit there and say, if we make things too comfortable for people and we make things too easy for people, they're not willing to risk. And our entire being is built upon risk. We'd never get married if we didn't risk. We'd never have children if we weren't at risk. We'd never, graduate from high school if we did risk. We'd never graduate from college if we weren't about risk. We'd never apply for jobs if we didn't have some form of risk. We need some type of risk in our life. We need something in our life constantly that's driving us towards what's next. And that it's not every day. Like if you're changing jobs every week, there's something wrong with you. Okay, there is. Either you're getting fired and you need to have a real quick look inside, or you're sitting there going, you're one of these ADHD people who just can't handle, you know, doing the same thing over and over and over again, and you need to figure out what can you do to be a little bit, more on the spectrum. Um, but we need to sit there and say, okay, who are we as a person? What level of risk and what level of complacency is good and what's not healthy? And what's right for you is not right for me. I mean, I love your roller coaster analogy. You and I are, front row, hands up, let's go, bigger the better. You know, throw me on as many rides as humanly possible. There are people I know you wouldn't get on a roller coaster for $1 million.
Yeah.
For $1 million, you wouldn't get them on the kiddie roller coaster in Toontown. That's made for 8-year-olds or 6-year-olds. You wouldn't get them on that roller coaster for $1 million. So I think we all need to sit there and say, what's our level of discomfort? Because my level of discomfort is way different from other people's, and the amount of risk I'm willing to take is way different from other people's. It doesn't make theirs wrong. It doesn't make mine right. It means what's right for me and what's right for them.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. Okay, first off, roller coaster ride. I am of the school of thought that I just happened to see a truck stop in front of my house. It's a little yellow bus. Anyway, okay, I'm not quite sure why it's in front of my house, but okay, little
They're
yellow
coming to
bus.
get you.
I don't have children, everyone, but apparently I might have a child coming at my door now.
There you go. Trick or treat.
Already, wait, okay. So, yeah, no. So the thing about that you just mentioned, though, we had already a discussion on complacency and contentment,
Right.
right? Um, I think if you are content, it's an easier opportunity for you to put yourself up and out there to experience that new thing that you know, uh, danger zone, stranger danger, or get in on that roller coaster ride that you've never been on before, right? Um, I think it's the ones that are complacent, especially is I think with this topic really is kind of leaning into is, well, what is it that's really kind of keeping you back from taking that step to try something new, to get out of that contentment zone where you're learning, right? You're constantly pushing yourself a little bit. And it's rooted in that fear. I don't know if it's fear of failure, fear of stability, fear of what you consider stability. That to me has always been fascinating to me. So anyone in the audience that's like listening in, I would like to know, because I see this on LinkedIn so many times. Why don't you do XYZ? Because we're fear of change. Well, then what is it? How are you overcoming it? Um, some people have high anxiety. That's just how they're wired,
Yeah.
right? So, I would love to see how other people are managing that. Full disclosure, I don't have anxiety, you guys. I don't get anxious over things. Maybe because I'm not smart enough to have that fear chip, people. I am that like I am that person that's like, I will volunteer for something. What did I just volunteer for? Kind of
Yes.
kid.
The answer is
Right.
yes. Okay. What did I just get myself into?
And then you kind of work your way, but
You work your way
I'm
through
almost
it.
50. Ben, I'm almost 50. I have yet to experience something where I said, well, that was a, show, right? Like, uh, I've managed to pull myself out every single time. I'm just not saying, oh, look at me. What I'm trying to say is maybe for those that have that high anxiety, have that high stress, if you could lean into a little bit of rock and roll, if you're a little bit of country, you know what I'm saying? Like if you're a little bit more about the jungle cruise at Disneyland, but you know what? Every now and then go ahead and jump out of a plane. I'm kidding, don't do that if you're not comfortable. But maybe try something a little bit different. If you're afraid of the heights, go go to Sears Tower. I don't even think it's called Sears Tower
No,
anymore.
it's a
Maybe I'm
Willis
age
Tower.
dating
It's
myself.
now the Willis Tower.
The Willis
Yeah.
Tower, yeah. Um, yeah, you're just really making me chew on and gnaw on this a little bit because we have such great opportunity to react to something if there's opportunity that we're open to, right? And I think that's again that.
And I also think we can't be so close to judge people because they're not living up to our discomfort level or our comfort level, you know,
Or lack of
or
comfort
lack of
level, yeah.
comfort level. I think we live our lives going, geez, they're doing it, so I should do it. No, if they're doing it, maybe you shouldn't be doing it. Maybe it's right for you. Maybe it's not right for you. It's got to be what's right for you in your life. I mean, don't live your life in fear. I beg people, don't live your life in fear. It's a horrible way to live. But on the other hand, if you are absolutely completely terrified of heights and you're going to sit there and be catatonic on top of heights or swimming or whatever, you know what? Swimming with sharks or jumping out of airplanes is probably not a good idea because it's probably going to it might do you more harm than good. It all depends on is this a catatonic fear where you're sitting there clutching the airplane with for dear life, hoping to God you're not going to die every time you get into it, or you sit there going, okay, well, am I going to do this or am I not going to do this? Okay, it's all about levels. It's all about a continuum, and I think we
Yeah.
live our life so much in black and white today. Yes or no, right or wrong. There are 50 shades of gray in between, and we have to give people the grace to live in their level of discomfort, not our level of discomfort.
Okay. I'll be more I'll give grace more. I get it. I get it. I look, I am that devil on people's shoulders. I can't
Yeah.
begin to tell you, Ben, how many times people are like, I have been thanked of like, hey, thanks for pushing me
Mm-hmm.
and get me down that path. I also have gotten chastised by, I don't know, people's spouses for whatever reason saying, why did you do that to so and so? To which my reply is, you guys are all adults. Everyone listening to this most likely are adults. You make your own decisions. Some people are going to encourage you to do things that maybe may not be the best thing, but it was good fun at the time. But you know what? Hey, now you can say you got a story to tell.
That's right. And in the end, it's your decision. It's
Yes.
your decision whether you're going to do it or not. You know, you pull the trigger. In the end, no. Well, they told me I had to shoot the person. No, no. You were the one who cocked the gun and shot somebody. We all need to take personal responsibility. if we're going to have action, we have to have consequences.
Yes.
And we have to be willing to live with our consequences of our actions, and not just point fingers and say, Syya made me do it. Because Syya didn't make you do anything. Unless Syya's got a gun to your head and say, if you don't do it, I'm going to shoot you. Syya didn't make you do anything.
I'm innocent.
Well, let's not go too far.
Okay, fine. But I think we're starting to diverge here a little bit, but I think there is something about getting out of that comfort zone that I do think we need to be more intentional about. So that's my final thoughts is, look, comfort zones are comfortable. Ain't nothing like a really delicious like chicken noodle soup when you're sick, right? It's like the go-to, right? But sometimes you maybe want to try something completely different. Maybe that bone broth is a better route than the chicken. Doesn't hurt to try.
Let's leave it there.
That's my final thought.
And I'm letting you have the final thought today. So I'm Ben.
And I'm Syya.
And we'll see you soon.
Hey. Thanks for listening to another episode of Not On This, Business Bites. If you liked what you heard, we most humbly ask that you like, share, and hit that subscribe button. And if you want to communicate more effectively within your organization, contact Ben at yourbrandmarketing.com or me at brilliantbeammedia.com. We can help you build your community, brand awareness, and personality through digital content and podcasting. We cannot wait to hear from you. So see you next week for another episode of Not On This, Business Bites.